All right, so today is day 7, first run of the third week. Same run as the last run, which is 90 on, 90 off, 30 minutes, so 10 repeats. Looking forward to the run. We'll see how it goes.
How are you feeling?
Good, because you got me wearing these jazzy sunglasses. Uh, Probably a little loud for my taste, but that's okay. All right.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 3 of the quarantine vlog series. And as you can see, I have a guest on this episode.
How's it going?
This is my husband, Ricardo. And for the last 3 weeks, he has picked up running. I am working on an intro to running guide for beginner runners because I realize that there are probably a lot of new runners out there right now because gyms are closed and access to cross training materials are gone, so a lot of people are picking up running, and I wanted to create this guide to help people who maybe have an athletic background or have taken some time away from running, or who are just picking it up for the first time, and give them strength, running, and nutrition info for getting into running. And my husband wanted to do the program, and I want him to tell us a little bit about what he was doing prior to the quarantine athletically. So he's going to fill us in on that, and then we're going to go through some questions and take it from there.
All right.
So what were you doing prior to quarantine 7, I think we're now in week 8 weeks ago?
Well, prior to quarantine, I've been doing CrossFit for quite a bit of time, but kind of slowed down at the beginning of the year. I got a weird cold that lasted 5 or 6 weeks, and then was trying to ease my way back into going to the gym. So I was probably going once or twice a week for the weeks leading up to quarantine. And then once quarantine hit, I didn't want to go to the gym at all. I figured that's probably where I caught my cold the last time. I don't want to get sick again, and I don't want other people to get sick. So I just stood home and sat on the couch. That's it. Didn't really do much.
So I think at the beginning of this, like many people, we thought it was probably not going to last for a very long time. It was only going to be a couple weeks, and then we could go back to our gyms and CrossFit and whatever. So once I started developing the guide, Ricardo volunteered himself to test it, I guess. Primarily because I think he realized things were not going to go back, and he wanted to be active. So for the first 5 weeks of quarantine, what were you doing activity-wise before we started this program?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, we worked out, I think, twice in those 5 or 6 weeks, and it was kind of a mediocre workout. Not really trying very hard, not really wanting to do it. So that was essentially it.
But we were taking daily walks that were about 45 minutes.
That's true.
Every day. So this guide is really for people who are at that level of, you can walk comfortably for about 30 to 45 minutes. You may have taken several weeks off of exercising, or you may have no running background. So tell us more about your athletic background, like from when you were younger.
I grew up as a swimmer, swimming, water polo. That's what I did as a kid, from the age of probably 5 or 6 through. I stopped really playing water polo after my sophomore year in high school, and then I still swam through senior year. And after that, I kind of didn't do anything for years. I think I started CrossFit maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but again, it was one of those things where like, you're just doing it for maintenance, not necessarily trying to be a competitor or anything like that. Just wanted a place where I wanted to work out with a group of people. That's essentially it. I wasn't self-motivated to do any of that. And so running has never been anything that appeals to me. I'm able to attend a lot of races and run clubs with Jay, just as like a photographer or something, and everybody asks, like, are you gonna run? When are you gonna run? And it's always been like, I'm not a runner. That's been my standard answer. Part of that is, when Jay and I first started dating, we did try to go out. I tried to go out and run with her, and my knees just couldn't handle it. And so that's the biggest reason why I didn't want to get into running, is I didn't like it. At CrossFit, yeah, you do some running. It's shorter distances. Usually you get up to maybe, a 1600 at a maximum, which is a decent length by my measure. But even then, like, my knees would be killing me, in those workouts, and I never enjoyed that. So that's it.
So that's a little bit of his background. And the basis of this program is it's a run walk program. And the goal is to eventually get up to 30 minutes of straight running. So the first week we did a 30-second run, 30-second walk. And so now we're 3 weeks in, and yesterday he just did a 90-second run, 1 minute walk for 30 minutes. And he did fantastic, and his pace has improved over time. So tell me a little bit about the progression, how you feel like the program is progressing for you, coming from basically 5 weeks of just walks outside.
When you started describing the program to me initially, I thought I could do that. But when you started describing the parts where, all the supplementary things you do, like the stretching and the stability work, I feel like that was the difference between the last time we tried to run together and this time, because my knees feel fine, and I feel like it has little to do with anything other than you just being more aware of what's going on with me and helping me understand what I need to work on in order for those things not to happen to me anymore. And so I think week 2 I got a little bit of a knee ache after the run, not during the run. And we kind of moved a couple of the runs back by a day, and that was enough to like keep me going. And it's been about a week and a half since that, and no knee pain right now, and I'm running longer. And the data on the watch is pretty cool because it tells me like I'm improving, and that's pretty fun. So the progression, I feel like is right where I need it to be. The way you've designed the program with the flexibility notes and all that stuff is really cool, because like if I was doing it on my own without you sitting next to me, I could still, take the liberty of moving a date here or there to kind of make it work with my schedule, or if I had a pain in my knee or what have you. So far the pace has been pretty good, and I really like it.
Okay, so tell us some of the things that you learned about pacing specifically during the runs as they've gotten longer, so tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like the first run, I ran like if I was running like a CrossFit workout, right? Which is just like, let's get it done. And it's a pretty fast pace, but it's a short distance, so it's not a big deal. But as the duration of the run portion of those repeats has increased, I got to slow down in order to be able to like maintain and not get my heart rate in a zone that's too high. So yeah, I'm running a little bit slower, but I also feel like 3 weeks in, I'm not running as slow as I thought I was going to be running in order to run as long as I'm running now. I'm still not running a full like 30 minutes, right? But the goal is hopefully to get me to run a full 30 minutes without stopping by the end of the 10 weeks. And at this point, looking back on the last 3 weeks, I feel like if I stay consistent and I show up to every run and there's no injuries, I probably will be there.
So the first run that we did that was 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, I think your pace was like a 7-minute pace for a couple of the 30-second intervals, and now he's averaging more of like a 9:50 to 10 on those running intervals, but overall he's gotten faster on his mile time, which is really cool. So he's really pacing himself and focusing on the endurance.
Yeah.
But so tell us more about the data and what you enjoy about it.
Well, it's just cool, like when your watch alerts you to either you're improving, or you got a mile PR, or just even looking at the repeats and how consistent like the pace is across the whole workout is actually quite interesting. If someone didn't point that out to me, if you didn't point that out to me, I wouldn't have known what I was looking at. But now that you've pointed out to me how to read it, I think it's actually quite interesting. And the key for me is to try to like keep it consistent throughout the workout. So that's been cool.
So Ricardo has really been the inspiration behind and the help behind creating this guide and making it, I think, more helpful for people, because he's posed questions to me that I probably wouldn't think about as an experienced runner that a new runner might not know. Like if you want to repeat a week because you're not feeling ready to go up to the next set of intervals, that's an option for you. Obviously, like there's flexibility in any running program, but when you get a program online and you feel like you start to fall off of it because you're not feeling ready to move up to that next level, there's options in there for you to repeat weeks and stuff like that. But also, I think the biggest inspiration that he has provided to me is that a lot of running programs don't offer like a strength component. And as a beginner runner, the biggest thing that you want to work on is stability and balance, and Ricardo doesn't have good stability and balance, which I think is part of the knee issue, is just he's not using the right muscles. So that's a big part of the program, is giving strength exercises that you can incorporate that will really help your running overall. And that's been something that he's been working on. And even just over the last 3 weeks, his stability during those workouts has really improved, which is also really cool. So another part of the guide is nutrition, which Paula, our Team Sugar Runs registered dietitian, is going to put in some information that's really just to get you started on hydration and fueling and things like that you might need. And one of the things that we've noticed that we've had to do is, it's obviously getting warmer, we're getting into the summer months, so hydration has been one of those things that we're being more conscious of. So that stuff will be in there too. What else? Are you nervous for what's coming up? Because I think the next couple weeks we'll get up to like 4 or 5 minutes of running with only a 1 minute walk.
Yeah, no, I'm nervous about it, but only because I've not done that before, right? But at the pace that it's going, I feel like I'm on the right trajectory. So I feel like I should be able to do it. If it's anything like the last 3 weeks in terms of incremental increase in how difficult it is, I think that I will be able to do it.
So it's also been really fun for me because I will go out with him for his runs, and I'll actually do the run walks with him, which is if you have a partner or friend who is not, or who wants to get into running, like I love doing these short runs with him after I do a workout or something. It's a great way to shake out my legs. So I love that it's something that we can do together. And it's just been really fun to like encourage him to do it, which is probably also helping you to stick with the program, to have me go with you every day.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though. It took me wanting to do it rather than her telling me to do it, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. And so, you know, if you're gonna ask somebody to run with you, my advice is maybe present it to them and kind of leave it on the table and say like it might be kind of cool for you, but don't push it, because if they're anything like me, they're not gonna do it.
True story. So we'll probably provide another update on your training in like 3 weeks and see how you're doing with like the longer intervals and stuff. And we're really working hard on this guide, and it should be available really soon. But if you guys want to know when it's ready, you can sign up for our newsletter. The link is in the description. And if you guys have any questions for Ricardo, please leave them in the comments and let him know so we can make sure to include them on the next video. So thanks for watching.